Yeah. Who? 413 MJokerg G. Voices in my head, you know. Try to tell me how to live and how I gotta grow. I kill my pain with my heart, and this is what I show. I tell my demons I'm the boss, I'ma let them go.
We want to welcome you all to JTR, Journey to Recovery Podcast Radio, your weekly source for candid conversations on mental health and addiction. And today's episode on May
16th,
2024, episode
3.
We're diving headfirst into the intersection of mental health and addiction, unpacking the challenges, triumphs, and resources available to those navigating these complex terrains. We're here to shed the light on these vital topics and provide a beacon of hope for anyone on their journey and empowerment in the face of adversity. I'm your host, TragicVizionsz. Alongside of me is my trusty co-pilot, MJokerg G. And you're tuning into JTR, Journey to Recovery Podcast Radio. What's going on, everybody?
Not much. It is Thursday the 16th, 2024. We in May, right?
We are in May.
All
Man,
right.
it's moving so fast. You know, it's 2 weeks until my birthday.
2 weeks, bro.
I know, I'll be 41.
41.
I know. I feel like I'm like 80-something though. My back has been killing me and my eyes.
This weather don't help. It's a rainy day.
No. What episode number are we on? I forget.
I don't know.
I rely on you for these things. My memory's gone.
We're on episode 3.
Alright, so I go by the name of TragicVizionsz, and my trusted co-pilot is MJokerg G. We have started a new podcast channel that's centered around mental health and addiction, and with the relation between the two. And so real simply is we are not experts in this field.
We are individuals working on our own recovery, our own, mental illness and our addictions, and we've gone pretty far. And now we want to teach others and show others it's possible.
Absolutely. And so we like to have people onto the show who are either in their current recovery or they have worked in the industry. Today we are joined by Chris. Chris, how you doing today?
Hello, howdy. How are you?
Man, well, I'm doing pretty well. I go through it a lot. This recovery can be it can be confusing. It can be scary. It's challenging, and just when you think you might know everything, it just turns upside down and says, "Nope, you forgot about this angle."
Oh yeah, to say the least.
It's tough, It's really tough. So, Chris has worked in the mental health field, as well as he's current in recovery from mental health and addiction. And so, Chris, we invited you onto the show to just pick your brain, man. This
sounds good.
Kind of see, what it's like from going from the recovery, just getting new into recovery, working, as many time as you have, and then working in the actual field, helping individuals.
Yeah.
And kind of like what that view looks like, does it change how does it, mold your view or change your view, if any at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I have five years, 4.5 years, coming up on 5 years sober from my drug of choice, which was opiates. I was a garbage can. Whatever you threw at me, I would take. It didn't matter. But the one thing I needed to have in all that chaos was opiates. That was my,
Yeah.
So how I became a vicious opiate addict, I was 15 and a friend and I were messing around with tree branches, and he accidentally hit me in the eye. And so I ended up losing my right eye. And in the process of 7 or 8 surgeries, the doctors were giving me just about anything to, help with the pain. So at a real young age, I was introduced to opiates, and that as a shy, awkward kid, I'll tell you what, getting those into me, I was a different person, and I loved it because I was somebody that I didn't know how to be sober. So I fell in love with them at a very young age, and that's what kind of set the hook, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's I think that's for the typical age range is when we're just young, and there's something that's, but we don't know anything about opioids or alcohol or anything like that, and from the moment that we take those substances, it just there's like a little light bulb. I know for me there was when I first took a sip of alcohol and I was 12 years old, and it just something lit a light bulb in. And while I didn't become full blown alcoholic by 12, by 13 or by 14, 15, I was slowly on that trend, and it just further exacerbated a lot of things that went down in my life. But it was like a security blanket.
Of course, absolutely.
And I know opioids does definitely does that to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that, like I said, I was extremely awkward kid. Didn't know how to talk to most people. So that, just that, like you said, that security blanket gives you that warm and fuzzy feeling. And, I don't know what made the difference, but I could communicate, I could talk to people, I could be social. That was stuff I never did as a kid or early into high school. I think I lost my eye when I was 15, so I was just getting into high school. So I was still awkward throughout middle school and all that stuff. So the second I felt good about myself too, because I was,
Right.
I was
And at that age, you probably wouldn't make any kind of correlation or distinction with mental health, and was that a precursor to everything else, or was it's tough, because I think for most, especially even in myself at this age, I'm 40. I think about my younger years, and I think a lot of it could have been just how the mental health back in the 80s was a little more talked about. So, from your age of 15, 16, 17, were you able to have like a productive, life? Like, did you have jobs, girlfriends? Did you, get married, or, did you try to get any of those things that, we all wish we could have had when we were like, young kids?
For me, in a way, yeah. It took a while though. I had a lot of surgeries, so I was in and out of school, and I ended up they pretty much felt bad for me. They were like, hey, we're going to give you a tutor one-on-one. You missed 2 years of school, but you can, make it up in 3 months and we'll give you a diploma. You know what I mean? They really didn't care. They were like, this kid's been through it. We're just going to, throw him a bone. So yeah, in the process, I had girlfriends, friends, all that stuff. It definitely was hectic, I'll tell you. The first year, those surgeries, they were killer. I was in a ton of pain, so I really wasn't doing much right when I lost my eye. I had people come and visit and stuff, but besides that, after after the surgeries, I'd say, I was like any other kid, partying, partying with my friends. That's pretty much all we did up in Vermont. You know, that didn't help either. I grew up in a pretty small town, so you just drink and look at trees up there. You know what I mean? There's nothing
Far
to
from
do.
the big cities.
Yeah, man. My neighbor was like a mile away, you know?
Yeah.
What else is there to do for kids?
And that's the thing, like, especially at that age, you know, in the woods,
Yeah.
there's no parents around.
No.
Police is probably not that far, you know, like that close, anyways.
We didn't have police.
You didn't know,
In
even
our
better.
town. We had one cop, I think, and he wasn't really like, I mean, he was like the type of guy that, he was a small town.
He was a nice guy.
He was a good guy, yeah. He was a
Give
good
you a
guy.
break if he found you doing
all
something.
All the time. Plenty of
Yeah.
times I should have been in trouble and I wasn't.
So from the far woods of Vermont to, you know, what would you say is, when was it around the time that you found out about maybe something about your mental health? Was it either declining, was declined, or did you find out that, you know, you probably, you know, needed to seek some treatments? You know, because I think for a lot of people out there listening, I know for myself, I did not know anything about mental health. I didn't start getting help until I was 37. And I'm like, mental health? No, I think I'm pretty good up there. I just have a drug problem.
Yep.
But, you know, I had multiple psych ward visits and, you know, trauma, ERs type stuff. And once I went through some of their, you know, programs and their protocols and, you know, groups, things like that, I kind of noticed in myself that there was a change. But that was so late in my life, you know.
Yeah.
When was there a time that you found out, wow, okay, this is mental health, this is...
I'd say, like, for me, my mom was pretty worried. She didn't know how I would be taking it, you know, when that injury happened. It was pretty traumatic. She was worried, you know, I was depressed and stuff, and of course, you know, like you said, I didn't know what any of that meant. You know, I kind of felt like shit mentally, but
Right.
you know, I didn't really know. And then I went to a therapist and kind of started realizing, like, PTSD got brought up because of the injury, and the things that he was saying were making sense. You know what I mean? Everything I was feeling inside, I was like, you know, it just, like, it put into words what I, as a young kid, I couldn't really put it into words. You know, I didn't understand what I was feeling, but that was it. You know,
No.
that was it.
And what age were you when you started your therapy?
16.
6. So you were young, right?
Yeah.
That's good, you know. It took me a long time to find a therapist, you know. I've gone through a lot of them, you know. Sometimes you have to, you know, you got to find the right one.
Of course.
So when did you realize that you needed to start fixing your situation, your mental illness, your addiction? When did you realize it was becoming a problem in your daily life?
I'd say I didn't really focus on it while I was a kid. You know, it took a little bit. Well, and also, you know, I was on opiates as a kid from 15 till about, I think, 19 or 20 or 18 or 19. I quit cold turkey because the doctor cut me off of them.
Wow, that's gotta be...
Dude, I sweated out in my bed.
Golly.
Sweated out, like, for, I think, a week and a half. Like, I was awake
Oh.
for like a week
Nah,
straight.
I'll be like, give me Suboxone.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. And of course, this was when I was younger. I didn't know what was happening, and so, I ended up getting through it and telling myself I'll never do that again. And then I moved down to Springfield, and
Which is a way difference from Vermont.
yeah, it's a little bit different, huh?
Yes.
For those listening in, so we're in Springfield, Massachusetts, and Vermont is probably an hour and a half drive.
It's about 3 hours to get up to the middle where I was.
I don't drive, so
It was a good hike. It was a good hike. But yeah, it was definitely different.
So you had a taste of both worlds, city life and the country.
Yeah. I had a little bit of everything. It's nice.
Yeah.
Can't say what I like better. Everything's got its pros and cons. I like the city, but I also like the country.
Yeah, that's how I am. I agree with that.
Yeah. Also, for when I got to Springfield, right? I was hanging out, and I wasn't doing any opiates. I realized how bad they were. I moved to Springfield, and I started selling weed, and then somebody paid me in pills. And of course, he said, "Do you want money or pills?" So Chris had the option to take the money and run.
Yeah.
But you know what he did? I told myself I can sell those pills for more than what he's giving me. I knew damn well those things were going up my fucking nose.
Yeah.
That's it, and then right back on it. Right back on it.
that's a hook, line, sinker, though. It gives you the option.
Yeah, man, I knew what I was doing to myself. I set myself right back up for failure. And that's what this disease does. But, yeah, I started getting pills, and by this time, I had won a lawsuit for my eye. So I had close to $100,000. And I fell in love with Perk 30s. And I could get them all the time. So, back on opiates, and now I'm smoking Perk 30s left and right, and I'm not hanging out with the best people, obviously. I start running out of money. And, $100,000 gets down to 8,000, and you're like, oh, crap,
What was that time span?
I'd say a year. Maybe not even. Not even, I don't think.
So you lived hard for a year. You partied it hard for a year.
Yeah, and I started running out of money, and like I said, the people I was hanging out with, they weren't the best, So
Took advantage of the situation.
Well, yeah, took advantage of me for having money, and then when I got no money left, they're like, well, they're real good friends. Keep in mind, these are real great friends. They're saying, I got something cheaper that'll work better. And, next thing I know, I'm doing dope.
Yeah.
And, my dad's a heroin addict. So I told myself I would never do heroin. Whatever I do, I'll never do it. A whole bunch of, yets. I'll never do that yet. And and then it was, I'll never shoot heroin, and then that went out the window too, Everything I told myself I would never do, it doesn't matter when that drug's in your system.
Well, we talk about coping with life a lot because it's a big word. It's a big little statement, you know what I'm saying? And it took me 36 years to even know what the word was. I didn't even know what coping was. And like, just so many things in coping. And when I say coping, is like people cope in every different way, and it may not be a good way. Some people cope with dope. Some people
with dope.
Coping with coping with anything.
Yeah, of course.
You're coping with life. Coping could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But in the process, you're coping with it. That's why you never judge a book by its cover. I'm sick of seeing people dying on the streets because people walk with their head high. You get what I'm saying? Like, those are our brothers and sisters. You know, and they're going through the same as we're going through. And we got to build a foundation and help us all grow together.
Yeah.
And, so, like...
You also got to keep in mind, Mike, a lot of those people that keep their head high have never been down.
Exactly.
You and I, we've been to rock bottom. So when we see stuff like that, you know, we're not quick to think I'm better than them. We're quick to think I've been where he is. You know?
Yeah.
You know, that's why most of the time when you see somebody helping another person, it's because they've been in their shoes. You know?
I've been in their shoes, feel what they've been through.
That's you know, Chris, you hit it right on the nail. It only till you've really been through something that you're really gonna understand what that person's been going through. You know, the downs, what that feeling is, the withdrawals, the self-doubt, your own self-criticism.
Sabotage.
And there's so much self-beating up. You beat up yourself so much. And, you know, coming from that background, that area, you know, they're able to help them just a little bit more. You know.
Yeah.
But, you know, sticking on that topic of one helping another, you know, coming from either whatever background they may have to help you. Do you remember that first moment or person or group of people that's really impacted you to say you wanted to change your ways, or you really opened up your ear or your eyes to see the world differently?
Yeah, I'd say after a while, you know, I was going in and out of detoxes, not because I wanted to get clean, but I was broke and I needed something, you know what I mean? And that inadvertently led me to recovery. I was at a detox and a kid my age came up and spoke. He had quite a few years, but he told a story that was, it was like so similar to mine. Like, I was looking around for like my family, thinking like my family put this guy here to tell my story, just to like try to get me sober.
Right.
I was like, where are the cameras, you know? Like, it was too on the head. And then he starts talking and, oh, thank you. And then he starts talking and, he's you know, he's got, you know, all this time. He's got a really good mindset. And then I was like, wait, so like he's been through exactly what I have. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if he can do it, you know, I can do it. And by then I didn't want to use anymore. You know what I mean? I was sick. I was beat up. I was ragged. I was broke. I was, you know, at my bottom. And
that's what it takes a lot to hit rock bottom, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have to hit rock bottom before they see the light, and unfortunately, sometimes you hit it more than once. I hit it 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, rebuilt my life 3 times, and finally at this point, I feel balanced. You know what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful feeling. You know what I'm saying? From feeling at your worst, feeling like you don't belong here, to feeling like you just want to be dead, to multiple suicide attempts, to multiple hospital stays. You know, like you said, you know, if it wasn't for the hospital, I wouldn't be where I was, because that's when I, you know, started finding people in the same situations.
Yeah.
And I started relating, and I realized that I'm not the only one.
Exactly.
You know, and that started making me want to help more people.
Yeah.
You know, because I knew what they were going through, and I understood their addiction, because from me, you learn from each other, you know what I'm saying? You learn to cope with different ways, and, like Chris said, he heard someone speak, it was the voice of somebody, and it opened up his head, because of that too, I've heard stories in AA that were so relatable. It was like they were reading it out of my diary, you know what I'm saying, or my journal.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know my life? Like, I don't even know you.
Yeah.
And it's so identical, like, so everyone's suffering through the same kind of stuff, just in different ways.
Absolutely.
And we all handle in different ways, People hang it, and some people do it in laughter, some people do it angry, some people, different ways of handling it.
Yeah. Recovery is anything but a straight road, my friend. You know
It's
what
a
I
bumpy
mean?
road, you know what I'm saying?
All different twists and turns. Everybody hits it differently. You know what I mean? Everybody hits recovery different.
But in reality, we're all on the same path, and that's to be in a better place.
Mm-hmm.
We
I also wanted just to mention, when I started going into recovery, and this was about 2 years ago, I really thought I was doing this by myself. I'm doing it. I knew at this time I'm doing it for myself. I've been through, other programs before and never really stuck, but I was really determined to do something this time.
Yeah.
And that I was, I felt like in the beginning I was just really by myself and no one's going to understand me.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, no one's going to understand me in a sea of people getting help in an addiction facility,
Yep.
like a detox center or a long-term stay or a CSS. So, during my first 90 days in recovery, I have my notebook and I write down the names of the people that were taught to me, so I just remember the names.
Yeah.
And I would write down all the names and what their positions they held and what facility I was in. And I think it was probably around just under 10 months. I had added one more name because I moved into a group home, and I looked at all the names. There was a bunch of them. So I counted them all up. And up until this date, Chris, there's 57 people part of my journey, part of me. They helped me in some sort of fashion.
Yeah.
They supported me.
Yeah.
They were able to, I was able to talk to them. And when I think about just 10 months prior to that I had no one to talk to, I thought no one to talk to,
Yeah.
and that I was by myself alone, that totally washes it away.
Yeah.
57 people in 10 months, some of them didn't have to do what they had to do. They did some really amazing things for me. So I just want to point out is that, recovery is never walked alone.
Oh yeah.
You will. At first, in the beginning, it is rough. It is tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had a hard time. But you'll find that little path or that way, and someone might come up to you and just start a conversation.
Yeah.
And it'll go from there. But knowing that I have a good support network and people around me to always lean on, it's comforting.
Of course.
Especially when back. Probably like 15 years ago, I felt like I was alone all the time. Nobody liked me. I was alienating everybody in my family.
Yeah.
So it's.
And you were a different person back then.
I'm a much different person.
I honestly feel like when you get sober, that decision is made alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually at your worst, at your bottom. It's made alone by you. And when you really want it, when you really want to get sober, when you make that decision, you know, like, this is it. You know, I'm sick of it, man. I'm sick of it. It's time to get clean. It might be made alone, but the second you walk through, whether it's a door to a rehab, a door to an AA meeting, you know what I mean? That is a room filled with people that care about you. You know, most of them anyway.
Yeah.
You know, most of them will do just about anything they can to help you stay sober. You know, at the end of the day, it's up to you, but you need a ride to a meeting. You know, you need somebody to talk to. You want to have a coffee with somebody, ice cream, whatever. They're there. You know, they are there. Good people are out there. That's the best thing about recovery, too.
Yeah, and that's one of the things people, you know, a lot of people don't like to do it, but sometimes you have to seek help, and you have to admit you need help. You get what I'm saying?
It's the first step, my friend.
It's like, no one wants to say you need help. It's just like asking somebody for something. I don't like asking anybody for anything.
Yeah.
You know.
It's hard.
It is hard. I'd rather give than receive, you know.
Yeah. It's harder as men, too, for certain men, I will say, that have taken that, that pill of, you're a man, you don't need help, you know?
Or expressing your feelings.
Yeah, any of that.
You know, that phrase, big boys don't cry. That was the worst phrase I ever was told, because you know what? I believed in that for the wildest time, and I did not cry. And then when I realized crying was a way of helping me cope and helping me filter out my problems, you know, I started crying like a baby every day for a while. You know, I'm past that stage now, but like, you know, don't feel bad to cry. Don't feel bad to ask for help. You know what I'm saying? Like, being alone and isolated in your own head ain't gonna get you nowhere happy.
Definitely not.
We need to be. We are social beings, and we need to be around each other and help each other.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the main thing is knowing that you need help. Because sometimes, you know, everybody can tell you that 1,000,000 times, but if you don't realize, you know, whether they really care or not, because somebody that tells you that really cares, you're going to run and do it. But, you know, just knowing that you need the help, you know, that's when you're really going to just do it. No matter if somebody tells you, it's not going to matter, because you're just going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that with mental health, it's kind of a struggle sometimes, because it takes you by surprise when you realize that sometimes in different issues or situations, when you realize that you do have a mental issue. It doesn't have to be, because it always starts somewhere. You don't have to say, oh, you're schizophrenic right off the bat. There's always a reason, and then it starts at certain levels before you get diagnosed with it. So just knowing yourself and knowing, you know, oh, he tells me he loves you, but you know, that's for you to say, nobody to laugh at or criticize, because he who knows it feels it. So you know when somebody cares about you, it's up to you to try to get the help, but you never know right away. Sometimes you know, people tell you all the time, and then you realize it's you, like, you know, they were right even throughout the help. If you're going to get it, you don't realize it. After a while, you might say, you know, I can relate to this and that, and then you can even self-diagnose yourself. Like, I think I have this.
Definitely.
I
really like what our friend was saying, especially about the part, like, you know, it's hard to look in the mirror and say, look, there's something wrong with me. You know, it's one of those things that nobody wants to do. Even today, criticism's hard. You know, but the difference is today, I might not like the criticism, but I take it and see if there's anything I can take and you know, build from it.
Right.
You know,
like opening up your mind just a little bit more to, you know, to try something once at least, and say you tried it. Okay, now I can give it some honest feedback on that. I think that's a big thing because, myself, I was so closed off and I didn't want to hear anything from anybody,
Of course, man.
Like, no, because I got into recovery and I'm like, no, I still know what's best for me.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
We all,
definitely not the case.
Yeah. We're doctors, we're lawyers, cops, everything. We know it all. I know, man. I didn't want, that's exactly it. It's the hardest thing to tell yourself, look, maybe I don't know much. Maybe I don't know anything about recovery right now,
But honest to God, that's like the most thing after it's all said and done that you can be so proud of.
Yeah.
That I
that
just
true.
threw everything aside and said, maybe I am incorrect or, like I need this help.
Yeah.
Yeah, not feeling like, somebody is going to reply, told you so, but saying, honest to God, maybe something was wrong with me and I'm glad that I did this.
Yeah.
It's a sense of accomplishment.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because you may have been suffering from something, for so long.
Yeah.
And it kept you in the shroud of misery and darkness.
Mm.
And then so, you opened up saying, okay, I need some help.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. Let's try something different. Because what I've done so far in 23 years has not worked.
My way ain't working.
Right, so once you start doing that, then you're like, okay, you look back, time goes by fast.
Oh, my God.
You see the accomplishments and the achievements you gained, and that's something to be really proud of,
Time does go by fast before you know it, so you don't want to get left behind. Because, them people that were telling you, you need this help, you need that, they're not going to be there anymore. So you make sure that whatever it is, you take it in, even if you feel like you don't need it. Sometimes you do what you got to do because you can use it going forward.
Yeah.
And they say recovery is selfish, right?
It's a selfish program.
It's a selfish program. It's all about you, and it has to be because you don't want to do it for anybody else.
Yeah.
Putting that extra pressure on, I have to please somebody, or I don't want to disappoint them. That's not what it's all about.
And the key to that is kind of telling yourself, look, I'm a work in progress, right? For the people that I'm trying to do this for, my family, my kid, my wife, whatever it may be, when you focus too much on I'm doing it for them, I need to do it for them, and not so much I need to do it for me. Because those people that are in your life, you got to think, they're in your life at your lowest, when you're probably an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to start from scratch and improve yourself, these people are only going to be happier, They're stuck around through thick and thin, So if they're still in your life, you know what I mean? Do it for you. Because at the end of the day, when all's said and done, you did it for them too. But you just didn't realize it.
Exactly. I like the way you said that.
That's why you got to say you do it for you, no matter who you're doing it for. It will matter and appeal to them, but you don't have to really notice that. Just know that you're doing it for you, and that's the hardest that you're going to work. That's the harder that you're going to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it will benefit you and your loved ones because they will see that and they'll see the improvement and the change.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true. So I want to just kind of close this
podcast journey,
podcast radio.
Yeah.
So
Oh, man.
I like being silly, I like rabbits.
Journey to mental health.
Yes, this mental health journey.
So I kind of want to close this this podcast with just one last question, and Chris, just to round it out, can you share any personal or professional experiences?
It's hard because I would say almost every time you seek mental health treatment, it's positive, but I know people are going to pick that apart because of the way I word it. And what I mean is bettering yourself, seeking help to better yourself can never be a bad thing. But I understand that sometimes people go to different places that aren't for them. You know what I mean? Different programs, different therapists. Like Mike said, it's not one size fits all for a therapist. So I understand sometimes therapists aren't the best, and that gives it a negative light in your eyes because you're like, well, this didn't help at all. But it's all about who's delivering that information.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable with them and you're happy with them, they can guide you to bettering yourself. But if you have problems with it and it doesn't work as well and there's friction, you're going to have a harder time. You know what I mean?
And speaking of that, I've noticed, because I've talked to a few of my friends, and they won't have therapists because they gave up on the first one they got.
It's a journey.
And it's like, because you get one and then they won't get one now because the first one didn't work.
That's
sad.
And
I tell them you need to go through more.
If I went to the first detox I went to, left, used, and never went again, guys, I'd probably be dead right now.
Yeah.
It takes multiple times. It doesn't matter how many times. You fall down, get back up.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, sometimes, like he was saying, it's the message that they use to guide you.
Yeah.
After you leave them, you're off on your own.
Yeah.
You're not going to find the right therapist. Sometimes it's just the message, the person that clicks with you. So I've been through many therapists, many. And I think that sometimes, even if you lose one, it's your obligation to try someone else because you might not even like any of them. Anything they tell you, you just have to talk to them and use the abilities that they give you.
Yeah.
So you have to just use your skill and make what you make of them, and then take what they give you and use it.
Absolutely.
Take their tools and use them.
Yeah, our friend has a really good point with that. That's clients have told me in the past, you're the reason I'm sober. And it's like, no, you're the reason you're sober. I handed you the map. You read it. You know what I mean? It's all about you.
I could preach to that because when we were in another program, you were our staff. And you helped me get through a lot, you know what I'm saying?
And likewise, I was the same.
We were all in the program.
Same program.
And he worked there, and the staff, unfortunately, he's not there anymore due to injury. I don't know if you talked about that.
Oh, no, I never even touched on that.
Yeah, well.
Workplace injury.
Yeah. Chris has been there to help people left and right, and he's helped hundreds of people, you know what I'm saying? And even the ones that did him wrong, he still helps them out.
You look like a good guy. Don't let anybody use you, because just like me, sometimes I'm too kind. Everything I just give, just to get on their good side.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they have some power over me, and people will use you and abuse you. So don't be that way.
Like Chris is a prime example of someone who will not give up on you. You can tell him no 1,000 times, but he will still be there no matter what. And that is a character trait that is very few and far from a lot of folks. And Chris, you have genuine emotions and feelings, and your intentions are genuine. I just like to say, because I remember my first place, and it was a year program, and I think I got in around like November. It was winter or something like that, and I had I think I had a flu. I think like my first 3 days I had a flu, as I was like in quarantine, and you had walked in. He was like, "Hey, I'm one of the counselors here, and if you need anything, let me know." And I just haphazardly go, "Cough drops. You guys have any cough drops?" Because they didn't have any there. He's like, "I'll go get you some." So I'm thinking that he's gonna, bring some in like the next day or something. Maybe just forgets, or He literally got into me within the next half hour, 45 minutes. And from that moment, I thought that was one of the the best, the strongest. Like, it was such a good thing he did for me because I didn't feel good about myself. I was just early in recovery, and I didn't trust a lot of people, and he really helped me break that barrier. And Chris, I've had the pleasure of hanging out or being around Chris for just about a year, and I try to all the character traits he has, the things that I try to work on myself, just to be that much of a better person. So, Chris, I really like to thank you because you were a counselor there, and that place is kind of tough, but just wanted you to know that you made a profound statement in my recovery and in my overall life. So I just want to say thank you, Chris.
Thank you, man. You're the reason I'm sober too.
That's how it works.
About the people.
You give it out.
Did you ever work at 417 Liberty Street?
No.
Okay.
No, but I was there a couple times. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's also a BHM, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's the headquarters.
But yeah, I think this is pretty good.
Yeah.
I appreciate the kind words from everybody.
Absolutely, Chris. I never got a chance to say that to you before I left. But it's definitely been on my mind. Like, after I left, I'm like, how am I going to get in touch with this guy? I got his computer screws in the...
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere. I can't find that little
It's
box.
it's always meant to be. The people that belong in your life end up back
That's
in your
it.
life.
Yeah.
And that's the circle of life.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works, and that's how, spirituality and faith comes in,
Yeah.
It comes around when you are ready for it, when you're ready to see it. It's always around. Your eye vision, your ears have to be open to receive that signal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have 5 minutes left. I just, everyone has a different way of discovering, their experiences with how to get help and where some of those resources are. Just, if you can, for the people out there, someone who's struggling, who's, they don't know how to get into a treatment, what's the best place? Would you go into a rehab? Would you go into a 90-day, 30-day?
Okay.
What was it like for you, and what would you say to someone out there that says, hey, listen, I know I need help, but where do I call?
What advice you're giving them, and what tools, and what places,
Yeah, it's all situational to the person. But at the end of the day, if you think something's wrong with your mental health, talk to your primary care and get a referral to a therapist or a psych.
So what if they don't have a primary care?
Okay.
What if they're just,
go to the hospital and say, look, I need help. I'm not well.
Okay.
If you feel like you're, whether it be, you feel like hurting yourself, get to the hospital. Call the hotline. Either way, just make sure somebody around you knows how you're feeling. No matter what, tell somebody. It helps you letting somebody know how you feel, but also it opens that branch of connection. Like, they'll keep in contact with you. You know what I mean? To make sure you're all right. You'll have that person looking out for you. But if I would say, if you're struggling with drugs, any detox. Get into a detox, and the counselors there will help you with where you need to go from there. You know what I mean? They'll help you get into a 30-day program. They'll help you get into what are they called? I forget the term. But it's like a 30-day program.
Oh, CSS.
CSS, and then
Yeah.
a TSS. Yep, exactly. Clinical Stabilization Services. They'll help you get into a 30-day program, and from that 30-day program, then you have all the time in the world to, figure out what you want to do. Preferably more time. Preferably get into a sober house. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever works for you, though. I'm a heroin addict that found AA useful. You know what I mean? It's not a straight line. It's whatever works for you.
Yeah, just because you're, have an addiction to drugs, and you don't really have that alcohol abuse.
Yeah.
There's stuff in the AA meetings that will be profoundly significant for your recovery.
Oh yeah.
And vice versa. I go to both meetings myself.
Yeah.
And I get something out of everything.
Absolutely.
I think that's what we were talking about earlier. Miss Unique over here, she said that you gotta pick out the good things out of everything.
Everything.
Just make a little hodgepodge of little great things and keep them solid to you, and you have that much of a better chance on being more successful out there than if you didn't do that at all.
Absolutely.
So, well, I'm gonna round it out here. Chris, it's always great to see you.
Absolutely, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Next time you're around, we'll love to have you on, and we'll pick your brain just a little bit further.
Sounds good to me.
If you don't mind.
No, anytime.
Just don't stand next to your Subaru.
Oh.
Yeah, he loves his Subaru.
Oh man, yes I do. Those are nice cars.
All right, so on behalf of Miss Unique, MJokerg, any last words, thoughts for the day for this podcast?
Just keep going, people. Keep moving forward. Keep stepping forward.
One foot in front of the other.
I'll give you a couple little tasks, little exercises,
Okay, I like that.
Take a walk, drink lots of water.
Drink water.
That's one way I used to cope with drinking beer.
Seltzer.
I used to
It's
do that.
big. Seltzer's big.
Spend 10 minutes under the sun, get some sunny D, get some Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Get out the
stay
house.
out of the dark. Get out of the dark.
Yeah, absolutely.
Avoid toxic people.
It's a good one.
Don't be around people that are going to hold you down or put you in your old ways.
Yeah.
Avoid toxic, not just people, but people, places, and things.
Oh, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So avoid them all. When you're down and you're feeling, call a trusted friend, family member to talk things out.
Yeah.
Hell
yeah.
Like you said, it's not good to just hold it in.
No.
Holding it in,
It's going to come out.
Yeah, it's going to come out, but when you hold it in, it comes out the wrong way.
Exactly.
Either you're hurting someone or you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, or both. Yeah. Exactly right, Mike.
But yeah, that's it.
Those are really great exercises and points to kind of focus on as you are either in early recovery or even if you have a couple of years in recovery.
Yeah.
They still work the same. Doesn't matter. It doesn't know that you're starting out. You've got 10, 12 years.
Whether you're a day in or 70 years in.
That's it.
It doesn't change, man.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. And
one day at a time.
And take it, really listen. One day at a time is, I think, the most underrated statement I've heard in over my entire life.
Absolutely.
Focus on the day that you're in now. Focus on what you can do in today. Focus in, just the overall greatness of the day. Pay attention. Notice the trees, the birds, the sunshine. See, look at them.
Absolutely.
Say hello to them. Mother Nature is great. She's given us this wonderful bounty of energy all the way around us, and
It's proven.
it's proven. Sitting next to a tree gives you oxygen. That's extra energy. So, all right. Well, on behalf of everybody here at this discussion, I want to thank everybody. Now, we mentioned hotlines and crisis numbers for here in Massachusetts and also in the Springfield area. Down below, you will find a few links on recovery and places for help to get help, whether it's addiction or mental health, and crisis numbers. There is a hotline, and there's also a warm line. A warm line, I know it sounds, we're all used to the hotline. The warm line is basically, it is a crisis number. However, it's a little bit less intense when you talk to somebody on the other side. I use it. I use it quite frequently, and it definitely helps me throughout my week. So just wanted to mention those, and thank you ever for listening. This is JTR, Journey to Recovery Podcast Radio. You can follow us on YouTube. That's how you found us here, probably, at JT Recovery. Thank you so much. MJokerg, take us out. He flew away. Oh, no, not yet. Flew away.
Believe and never give up.
I'm gonna hear myself again, right?
Bang up.
Who? 413, MJokerg. Voices in my head, try to tell me how to live and how I gotta grow. I kill my pain with my heart, and this is what I show. I tell my demons I'm the boss.